Jensen was fine until he was about 2. He started complaining of pain in his knees. We thought it was his knees. Wanting to be carried, didn't want to walk very far. He'd never been able to jump. We had him checked when he was little by the health visitor, and he'd always struggled with that. He couldn't skip, did struggle on the stairs.
We got referred to physios 2 or 3 times over the next few years, who said his movements were good, he'd hit all the milestones, and that maybe he was just a bit late developing his jumping. It was only when Jensen started in reception and the children were doing a daily mile that his differences really became quite apparent, that he couldn't complete 1 lap of the course, and he was getting really tired during class, and having to take constant breaks. So his teacher wrote a letter to our doctor saying that something else needed to happen, something else needed investigating. He can't jump, there's a big difference, he tires out, and then the doctor referred us to the physios and for blood tests. The blood test came back that evening, and I knew something was wrong. Probably at that point, my gut instinct is blood tests don't normally come back same day. It's normally a day or 2 days, week, 2 weeks. Very rare that you're going to get blood tests back on the same day. We got a phone call the next day asking if we could go and see the consultant again and the physio. I was away in London for work, and at that point we didn't know, we hadn't been told what the diagnosis might be or what they were investigating. So they wanted all of us as a family there, and we were waiting to hear back from them. Then the Monday came. I was working from home. My wife was due to work in the evening, and we got a phone call about 4:30, and they wanted to see us all. Straight away, the consultant was willing to wait for us. We hadn't been told of a new appointment. They said that we'd missed the appointment, but the consultant was willing to wait for us. So you start piecing it together and something's wrong. So we all went up to the children's centre, and we walked in the door, and we were greeted by the head physio that saw Jensen, a paediatric consultant who introduced us to a play specialist for Jensen and another nurse. There was no one else in the children's centre. It was just us, and all these people were for us.
She basically sat us down and said, "Your son is very poorly. Have you ever heard of Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy?" So obviously I'd heard of muscle problems before, but hadn't heard of that. So she sat us down and basically explained that it wasn't very common. It was quite rare. Duchenne was the most sort of progressive version of muscular dystrophy, and she basically sat there and explained to us that our son had Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and he would have a shortened life expectancy, that it was quite serious, the condition, and that he would decline quite quickly, but obviously we don't know how quickly.
About halfway through, I asked the killer question, what does this mean for Jensen in terms of lifespan? And she said, she started off by saying that from her time when she started, things have improved. Life expectancy had improved. When she started out, life expectancy was teenage years, and now it's mid-20s.
Parents, we had to tell them that was very hard. I don't know, I don't think I've ever seen his parents so upset. That was hard. We quite quickly were put in touch with physio and an occupational therapist, nurses, all sorts of different people. We got told we had a consultant in Dorchester, we had a consultant in Southampton. There was all these different people that wanted to see him, wanted to assess him, and we had so many people phoning us, wanting to make appointments for him. And to be fair, it was quite overwhelming, the amount of hospital visits and appointments and people that wanted to see him. And it is a bit much when you've gone from sort of having a little boy that you just thought had bad legs to having quite a serious terminal condition. It's a bit of a shock to the system. I found out shortly after that one of Jensen's friends at school had also in his class had Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy, so quite quickly we had his parents were very, very helpful and supportive to us. They gave us a lot of information on the condition, sort of discussed Jensen's friend with us, and actually it was quite a relief knowing that actually Jensen had somebody else like him.
Currently, we don't feel it's right to tell Jensen everything about his condition. He's coming up to 7 now, and we don't want to put that burden on him. Yet we want him to enjoy life as much as possible, give him opportunities for him to enjoy life without thinking that about the end, really. So Jensen knows he's got bad legs. He obviously needs to use a wheelchair, which is becoming increasingly more frequent now. But at the moment, we're shielding him from it. We can't do that forever, we know. But Jensen doesn't have a lot of the other symptoms in terms of he can still use his hands pretty well. He's intelligent. He's not had any effects on the brain. He's got a healthy heart, healthy lungs. So at the moment, it is his proximal muscles which are limiting him, and the fact that he has other children he can observe and see in his school with the same condition is also supportive for Jensen as well, and he doesn't feel alone in that respect.
He understands that he's going to be going into a mobility wheelchair, powered wheelchair. He's going to have a powered wheelchair soon. He knows he's not like the other children. He knows he's got poorly muscles like his friends, and he knows that he needs extra help. His leg muscles just give out. His ankles and his feet are very tight now, which can cause a lot of cramping in his legs. So he has to have physio stretches every day to try and keep him mobile. When he's at school, he has hydrotherapy every week. He has horse riding, lots of different exercises. We are currently waiting for an extension because he can't go up and down the stairs anymore. He just can't physically do it. He doesn't have the power in his muscles to do it. So we're waiting on this ground floor extension to be built, which is going to be amazing. So he's got a bit more independence. Simple things like getting on and off the toilet, he needs lifting on. He just doesn't have the muscles or the power to push himself up, especially when he's tired. He struggles a lot. Within the past year, he's definitely got a lot worse. a page called Mission Jensen, which is to raise money for Duchenne UK and put money back into research and trying to find a cure for Duchenne. We've already raised quite a bit of money for them so far, so we're going to keep going and just see how much we can do.
So when our friends, family ask, we want to raise money, does it go directly to Jensen? No. Actually, we have so much support from the local council, from the school, in terms of equipment and everything that we need. We want to give that back to the charity to help find a cure.